I just think this Oilers team is a lot more mature than I think a lot of people want to give them credit for, even though they cough up games in a hilarious way sometimes.
It's Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilersnation Everyday. What's up, my friend?
Not much, boys. Just sitting here, chilling. Might light up a cigarette. That's how relaxed I am. I'm not worried. What's there to be worried about in Oilerland?
I would think that you wouldn't be worried because we discuss your pragmatism a lot, because I'm a little more, how you say, I wear the fanatic element of being a fan on my sleeve a little more. You are analytically driven. You want to have frank conversations. You're frankly speaking. We should give you something that does that. But there have been points throughout this postseason where you've been like, idiots. The Oilers are obviously going to win, and we'll say to ourselves, everyone's saying this is going to be close. Tyler's saying the Oilers are obviously going to win, and then they win in pretty convincing fashion. So you've been right when you have said, don't worry about these guys. Going into this series, you were kind of doing the same thing, especially hammering the fact that only 2 forwards were going for Dallas. So after last night, how do you feel?
Through 40 minutes, the Oilers were showing that they were the much, much better team in my eyes. They were generating more dangerous looks. They had solved Jake Ottinger 3 times. And then they got themselves into penalty trouble. Like, yes, all the kudos in the world to that Dallas power play for coming through the way that it did. Scoring 3 power play goals in 6 minutes is very impressive, but it only happens if the other team takes 3 penalties. And 2 of those 3 penalties were mind-bogglingly stupid penalties to take. Like, what is Corey Perry doing when you have a lead in a hockey game going to cross-check a guy in front of the net, right? Evander Kane, you need to watch your stick. Like, they're going to call that, obviously, every single time. So I think the reason I'm not worried is that through 40 minutes of that hockey game, everything that I thought would play out the way I kind of viewed this matchup, I was looking smart. I sit here today as someone who thought the Oilers could make this a quick series, and suddenly I'm like, okay, if they're going to win this thing, it's probably going to be in 6 or 7 games now, because you gift wrapped one to Dallas, and Dallas is a talented enough team to win a couple of games on their own merit. So I'll eat my words a little bit on saying Oilers in 5. I don't think it'll be Oilers in 5 anymore, but I still would absolutely bet on the Oilers winning this series, because I think they have a mature enough group to not get themselves in penalty trouble again.
But do you think it's going to look largely like it looked for the first 40 minutes of last night's game?
And I guess that's maybe more from an Oilers perspective, the glass half empty view. From Dallas's perspective, the glass half full. It's like Matt Duchene, I think, even said after the game, like, we were terrible through 40 minutes. And it's like, yeah, Dallas isn't going to be that bad again, or at least they won't be that bad every single night. But the other thing too, Sportsnet flashed up a really interesting graphic of each team's plus minus period by period through these playoffs. Dallas was coming into that game last night, a negative team in every period but overtime going into that game last night. Like, that's crazy that they've been outscored in every period except OT, and they're somehow in the conference finals, and they have a negative goal differential, and they're somehow in the conference finals. And yes, Duchene last night looked very good. That was better than he looked in any of the Winnipeg games. Tyler Seguin scores twice. He was massive, gets the first goal, gets the insurance goal. The idea that Dallas can play better hockey than that is absolutely true. But I would point back to a lot of occasions in these playoffs where those depth guys, the bottom 9, if you want to call it that, like, they haven't been good. For the majority of these playoffs, Dallas has not been a dominant force by any means. So again, like, I think they're capable of waking up like they did in the third period last night. But I don't think they're going to be woke enough to win 3 more of the next 6 games.
How'd you do
woke
with that, Pete?
liberals?
Pete doesn't like
woke
that.
Liberals are ruining our sport.
Pete's a racist, so he doesn't like that word.
Jesus Christ.
I'm kidding.
The big thing that's been said about the Oilers for like this entire postseason is how good their third period differential is. They're a great third period team. So, like, does it worry you that it kind of Uno reversed on them last night? And on like a bigger picture, does it worry you that there's been so many games? Like, what's your confidence level in the Oilers being able to play 60 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I was at, shout out to our friends at Greta. I was at Greta last night, second intermission, an Oilers fan joked to me, and they were like, man, I'd feel better if they were down 3-1 right now, and we all laughed, and we're like, there's no way they blow this. Again, maybe that game would have played out differently if they were down 3-1. Yeah, again, like, it's just been in the Oilers' DNA. Like, Stars fans on Twitter were poking fun at the McDavid and Draisaitl kind of giving each other a tap and a stare at the end of the game, but, like, this team knows how to dial it in coming off a disappointing performance. You can even look back to Vegas when they blew game 3 and Draisaitl scored on himself. Everyone was kind of sitting there being like, oh, here's the turning point. The Oilers lost their big advantage in this series that they had going up 2-0. And game 4, they just dial it right in, don't allow another goal the rest of the series, and they're moving on. So again, I just think this Oilers team is a lot more mature than I think a lot of people want to give them credit for, even though they cough up games in a hilarious way sometimes.
Okay, buddy. I don't know if you heard. I've scratched Trent Frederick. How do you feel about that?
It's probably justified at this point. I mean, when we were texting about this earlier, like what did you do when Ekholm's back? I think the decision's probably very easy. If Ekholm's ready to go in game 2 or game 3, you go 11-7 to ease Ekholm in. And if you're looking at a forward to sit, it's Trent Frederick at this point. I think there's probably even a case. I know they don't play the same wing, but in game 2, you could probably look to swap Arvidsson for Frederick as well. Him whiffing on that chance in the third period was maybe the final straw in this whole thing. Like, he isn't generating any offense for the team in the bottom 9 or in the bottom 6. He's not hitting all that much. He just looks a little bit out of place. So yeah, I think the idea of sitting Trent Frederick in game 2, it's totally justified, as much as I was very high on him coming into these playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, there was that scare for Podkolzin, and my heart was broken for him when he was on the bench and he was like screaming and he was pointing to his arm and everything. And I was like, I think that it might take one of these fourth line wingers of Leon Draisaitl's getting hurt to kind of guarantee me keeping Trent Frederick in the lineup right now, because you would move him up to play with Draisaitl. But other than that, I think that and we had Jack Michaels on a couple days ago when we were saying that the Oilers aren't in a position to do what Dallas was doing when Heiskanen came back, where they're doing 11-7 because they just have too many forwards going right now. I think that Frederick has worked his way into being that guy that comes out. But even if Heiskanen doesn't come back, I think I'm popping Jeff Skinner in. And I know that goal scoring was not a massive issue for them last night. They should have won that game 3-1 or 3-2. But man, a lot of other people score that goal and they have the fourth goal, and that shuts up the crowd. And we're probably talking about Edmonton being up 1-0 in the series.
First off, Sean, if you put up one more Johnny Lazarus comment, I'm out. If I
just for you.
Listen, Chris Knobloch's not doing that. He's going to Arvidsson before he goes to Jeff Skinner. He's probably going 11-7 before he goes to Jeff Skinner. He doesn't like him. He doesn't want to play him. And I totally get where you're coming from. Like, putting a guy in the game who can change the outcome of a game with one shot, who even if he only plays 8 or 9 minutes, like, he got a point in that first playoff game, the only playoff game he played, and he's been a healthy scratch ever since. I totally understand the logic behind it. I just don't think Chris Knobloch understands the logic behind it. I think he wants guys who play a certain gritty style in his bottom 6, and Victor Arvidsson will do that. Jeff Skinner, unfortunately, won't, even though he's got all the talent in the world. It might take them going down 2-0 and probably getting shut out for him to consider that.
From one Skinner to another, how did you feel about the goaltending last night?
I mean, this is who Stuart Skinner is, right? He's a low floor, high ceiling goalie. Back-to-back shutouts. Great. Everyone's singing his praises. He has one game. I know the save percentage was like very ugly. I'm not sure how many of those goals were horrible by any stretch. And he made a big save in the first period. Then 90 seconds later, they go down the other way and take a 1-0 lead. And everyone's feeling amazing about Stuart Skinner through 40 minutes. And then the penalty kill stunk. And yes, a goalie is a big part of your penalty kill. Like, I'm not absolving Stuart Skinner for last night's loss, but it's just hilarious to me how many Oilers fans today on my timeline are just right back to point. The Oilers will never win with this goalie. Someone tweeted yesterday, even if the Oilers win the cup, you get rid of Stuart Skinner this summer. And it's like, he has a shutout in 2 of his last 3 games. Like, I don't know. He's volatile. That's what he is. The Oilers need to play good in front of him in order to win. Through 40 minutes, they were playing good. He gave up 1 goal. They took 3 penalties in 6 minutes, and now all of a sudden it's Stuart Skinner's problem that they're down 1-0 in this series. I'm not willing to pin last night, I should say, on the goaltending.
From NHL Sid on Twitter, in these playoffs, Stuart Skinner has either had a save percentage less than .834 or a shutout. It has either been a shutout or a sub .834 save percentage. That was quote tweeted by DJ Bean with 4 salute emojis. That's my fucking goalie. And as I said earlier, I just don't know what the value is in having if Edmonton had a better goalie, then maybe there are no trades that can be made right now.
No.
For teams that are competing. They're not getting a better goalie. They're not this is what they have. So why do you watch if you want to spend all day afterwards just talking about the goalie when goalie was part of the story, but I think if you don't take 3 penalties in 6 minutes, you probably win that game. And you're ignoring the goalie, which is what I like to do. Even when Skinner had those back-to-back shutouts, I think did we have any segments on what is Dallas going to do about Stu Skinner? Or what, we just say, okay,
no,
because he wasn't amazing, and that just is what it is.
The story on Stu Skinner is whether he's good or bad. It's just wait 5 minutes; it won't last. It's always going to change. It's always going to be crazy. So I'm not worried about him yet. If you are worried about something coming out of Game 1 that you saw from Dallas, what did you see from the Stars that would give you pause?
The depth waking up a little bit. If those guys have some confidence now, if Duchesne's going to play like that, if Tyler Seguin's going to chip in. I thought Mason Marchment was pretty noticeable in that game from an offensive perspective. I think he picked up a point. If the depth wakes up for Dallas, then that's one area where the Oilers had an advantage coming into this series that is all of a sudden no longer an advantage. And listen, I said coming in, I'm I don't know if Dallas has the scoring to win a couple of 5-4, 6-5 games, which you might need to do against the Edmonton Oilers. Last night they popped 6. One of them, I guess, was an empty netter, so you could say they popped 5. But if this scoring depth has woken up for Dallas, that's a legitimate concern for the Oilers. Because again, I don't think they get into penalty trouble again. I don't think their penalty kill is that terrible again. I think Stuart Skinner has a little bit of better hockey in him, and we don't obviously need to go back into that. But there are areas of that Oilers game where I'm hey, they don't do that twice in a row. I've watched this team enough. Those things don't happen in back-to-back games. Connor and Leon don't stand for it. But again, you may be wasted a 3-point night from Leon Draisaitl, and Dallas's depth might be waking up. That's the concern for me.
Yeah, I feel this is such a close series that once you start to see something slide in a more drastic way than you anticipated, then I would be worried. And I don't know if we've necessarily seen that to a sustainable degree after one game. But if Stu Skinner sucks in Game 2 and you're oh, goaltending is a huge advantage for Dallas here, then you start to kind of change the outlook. And I think that there are things on both sides that could happen where you go, oh, fuck. I don't know. That's just me.
And I think too, from the things that goaltending 1000% in Dallas's favor here. But if Stuart Skinner can just be a tick above average, then that gap maybe isn't quite so, it's not insurmountable, I guess is my point. And with the star players as well on either side, Connor and Leon are going to eat and get theirs and be a big impact in this series. If Rantanen and Hintz go on a hot streak and get close to matching them production-wise, and they've gone on obviously a couple of notable hot streaks, then that difference isn't insurmountable from a Dallas perspective. But if Rantanen and Hintz are cold and that depth isn't producing, and you look at the forward group and go, Connor and Leon are buzzing and the Oilers are getting a depth goal or two every single game, then nothing else matters, right? That gap is so big. But again, you're right. Stuart Skinner being brutal and the depth being good, well, then those two things all of a sudden just don't work in Edmonton's favor anymore.
There's still 800 more things I could say about this game. That there were a lot of rebounds off of McDavid shots that I thought could have been buried, Hyman
was amazing
in the first period. McDavid looked better in this one game than I was going to say his best game of the playoffs, but then I was game 1 of the Kings series where he just absolutely took over. But I think, and we saw it last year, there might be more opportunity for him to go off than we saw in the previous round against the Golden Knights. Tyler, you're the best. We always love talking to you, my friend.
Thanks, boys. Always. All right. And
Oilers
Liam comment, so he redeemed himself in my books.
Got you.
Yes, we saw Liam, your lovely co-host, in the chat as well. Talk to you soon, Tyler.
Okay, see you, boys.
We all silly like the mayor.